Okay, we'll call the Public Works meeting to order. First thing we need is a motion to approve the minutes of the prior committee meeting. Supervisor Frazier, second by Supervisor Conover. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to Paul.
Okay, Justin was unable to get to the meeting today due to other railroad commitments. Instead, he wrote a written report, and I'll just read a couple of them here that I handed out to everybody. Dinner train out of North Creek on May 28th was sold out, and we received many positive reviews concerning our new menu and Pullman style service. Our new dining car will go into service June 18th. We are running a special promotion on June 19th for Father's Day. The event will be held at Riverfront Park in North Creek, and will include a spike driving competition, locomotive tours, turntable demonstrations, food, bounce house for children, walk-through railroad exhibits, and free train rides for fathers. The event will take place 12 to 4. Without reading all down through them, I'll just skip a couple. Work continues on the concession caboose at Thurman, and they're still planning to open July 1st. They're awaiting confirmation date for shipment of 2,000 tons of stone from Tahoe, and they'll be able to provide a better update next month. And they're telling us that they have 28 employees, an additional 8 more coming on this month. That's the railroad update.
That's good news. Gene?
Yeah, just a quick question. I don't know, I spoke to Jeff about it. I don't know if I should bring it up under this part with railroad or this part. I talked to Justin myself, and he has no problem with it. The last week of August of this year, Hadley and Luzerne are sponsoring Cycle the Adirondacks. Right now, they got, the last report I got about 2 weeks ago, they got about 280 people gonna do it. They're camping.
Mm-hmm.
But what it is, it's not a race. It's, they're gonna come in on the Saturday and stay the night, then they get up in the morning and they go to another town. And they'll go around and then come back on the following Saturday. I'm asking is the permission from the county to allow them. We're gonna park their cars at the railroad station, because they don't, they take their bikes and they're gone for a week. So we're gonna have security there and, take the keys and all that stuff. So I just need permission, so everybody knows that we'd like to, they have insurance policies and all that set out. We park their cars at the, we were gonna park them at the school, but it's, about 2 miles away, so it's a lot easier right across the street, because they're camping in Hadley.
I'd make that motion. It was very successful last year up north. We were lucky to have them down here. Part of the move was the vicinity to the Albany area, and they do need a place to leave the cars. And they do make a concerted effort to use the local food, local services in every community they'll go through, so it's a boon for our economy. I think we should try to accommodate them.
Okay. We have a motion by Supervisor Wood. Do we have a second? Supervisor Frazier? Any other discussion? I suppose the resolution would be...
Yeah, depending on the attorneys, I can get whatever you need.
Get the correct
insurance-wise. All right? All right, thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Next item, on pages 1 and 2, referring to the spring stocking update. We're done with our stocking for the year, as far as spring stocking, I should say. We stocked a total number of 23,979 fish, which fulfills our DEC permit. Like I said, details of all the stocking activities are in page 1 and 2.
Thank you for the trout in the mill pond. That was a very successful fishing derby.
How many did you get?
I didn't catch any, but I couldn't even find a parking spot in the town that I'm supervisor of.
Where do you stock from the point of upper end?
I'm not going to be able to tell you. I don't go on the stocking trips.
They just throw
It's
them off the
just
bridge.
off the road. I mean, I can picture it. It's just off the road on Luzerne Road, I believe.
Okay, all
Right?
right.
Yeah. It's just a small area we walk into and stock that. Just off the road.
You throw them out
See, I was able to answer you. Pretty much. Pretty much.
So what's your next, do you start your next cycle of fish at the
There-
hatchery now, or you've already?
The cycle has already begun. We've
Okay.
held those fish, while we have the yearlings.
Okay.
So when they come out and get stocked, the other ones go outside, which are
Okay. Right.
4 or
that's-
5 inches.
Okay.
So we hold several year classes, 3 actually, to successively stock them, then have more fish for the next year. And then we'll be getting eggs, we got eggs this spring for, rainbows for next year. And then we're gonna get more eggs, brook trout this fall.
Mhm.
So it's an ongoing cycle. We're never empty on fish.
Good. Okay.
Okay, next, I just added a page at the back of your agenda, the summary for Spring Zing. Obviously, it was a total success. We had 407 people attending the event, 200 of which were children, which is basically what we were trying to attract, is the children. So that was a good thing. I've also listed sponsors and volunteers on that page, and would ask that the chairman be authorized to send a letter of gratitude and thanks for their participation.
Okay, we have a motion. Supervisor Dickinson, seconded by Supervisor Wood. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Do we have pictures, Jeff? Did we set up pictures?
I didn't,
No?
we can
Okay.
send the link to pictures.
Okay.
Uh,
I had planned a couple of
didn't bring it.
pictures, but,
Yeah, I didn't put them on the server.
okay.
Yeah, I ran into Nemec the other day and thanked them for it. They saw how well you did, they were enthused. Thanked them.
Great.
Look forward to next year.
Next year.
Lot of
yeah.
fun, lot of fun.
Yeah, you're hired.
Okay, I'll be there.
That's all I have,
Cooking clothes.
unless there's questions.
Okay, Jeff?
Okay, moving on to the second agenda for, DPW. The first item on the agenda is a, request for a new contract. This is for asbestos abatement services. This is related to one of the fairground buildings that we had condemned several years ago and had been on hold for demolition. We did an asbestos, and hazard survey, determined last year that there were some, asbestos items that needed to be abated. We have we put out a bid for that service. We'd like to award that, to PCS. And then the intent is to proceed with the demolition using county forces. Once the abatement is complete, we think we have the existing equipment and expertise to get the building down, and then we'll be removing it in containers as C&D.
What building?
It's one of the northernmost buildings on the fairgrounds. It's got a silo.
Right there.
Actually, we got a couple photos attached.
Supervisor Wood?
If you look on page 3, kind of gives you the layout.
We're gonna move 1 and 6, they appear to be, I assume, Jeff, that the 11,000 is what you need to move to fund that, so I would move them both.
Yes, that's correct. We do have some other funding that we moved in code in order to proceed with the demo, but this picks up the rest of the slack to be able to complete not only the abatement, but also the demolition and disposal of the C&D.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second? Hold on, let me get a second first. Supervisor Frazier? Okay, discussion. Come on, Tessie.
Were they all bidding on the same thing? I mean, you go from $5 a square foot
Yeah, I
to
wondered about
that
$16,
too.
Of course,
What do you think caused that?
Some of the contractors were busy and didn't need the work. That's my guess.
Almost from New Jersey.
If we'd have awarded to the most expensive one, they probably would have figured out a way to get it done in their schedule.
That's a reasonable price.
That's a super price.
Hope they don't put it somewhere and get the EPA after us 10 years.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried.
Okay, the next item on page 7 is related to local law number 3 of 2004. This local law was pertained to the structure of the Department of Public Works. It had certain provisions in it regarding the role of the superintendent, and specifically the area of concern is the authority of the superintendent to appoint deputies. At the time, in 2004, when this local law was passed, the department had 3 deputies, had a superintendent of public works and had 3 deputies. There's a copy on page 8 of a section 5 and section 6 were removed out of the prior local law that dated back to 1971. The removal of that section 6, though, however, has caused a problem for me recently. I had a changeover in personnel end of last year, where my deputy for admin left the department, started her own business. When I backfilled the position and then went to appoint the new employee as deputy for admin, it was an error discovered by Paul Dusick and Joanne McKinstry that authority no longer existed in the local law. So as I said, at the time the local law was passed, there was 3 existing deputies. So the intent of the board certainly was not to eliminate those positions, because those positions endured, and in fact those positions had been backfilled multiple times since 2004. I went back into the records and found that those additional deputy positions had existed in that authority from 1971, and the deputy for admin, I found records back as far as 1983 that position had existed. And up until 2015, that position existed too. The position is budgeted. The position is in the salary schedule. So there's multiple approvals, for that particular position through the board. This is simply a error of omission that this paragraph or a similar paragraph that gives me the authority to appoint deputies was inadvertently removed. So we're trying to correct that.
Supervisor Conover?
I'll move it to bring it to the floor, and then I have a question.
Okay. In a second, Supervisor Dickinson. Okay. Ron?
I'm still unclear as to what it looks fairly benign to me. It looks like something was omitted, given 8K and your authorities and responsibilities as the department head, once again, why this section is even needed, I don't think it hurts to have it, but I don't think I completely understand. If you don't have the appointing authority, then who does? I guess would be my question, right? I mean, if you don't, I'm not asking the question correctly. I don't see any harm in it, but adding it, but I'm just kind of wondering why.
Well, I can just speak from my experience here. We've always allowed the superintendent of highways to appoint his deputies, and one has always been the administrative assistant, or whatever you call that position. It's been that way for a good 10 years I've been here, and it was always done at the organizational meeting for the following year, and it's just gone on and on and on. I don't know how I ever got taken out of the local law. I don't know, unless it was a codification thing, that when they codified the laws, they felt that it didn't need to be there. I don't know. But we should not hold that against allowing him to run his department.
It's just cleaning up. It's not that there's been a problem. It's you're just cleaning up. You're cleaning up the language.
And I think,
right.
Frank, you would verify that?
Yeah.
It's always been there. It's always a budget item. I think we have to amend the law, though. I think that's how we're going to do it.
That explains it. Yes. It was inadvertently omitted, and you just want to put it back in.
Yes.
Is that your opinion that we need to amend the local law? Because under 8K, it almost seems like it's got the powers now, and it's not even an issue. But you're the attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It came up as an issue a little earlier this year, and Jeff has not been able to delegate the full authority that he wanted to delegate to a deputy, and there is some distinction between a deputy and the assistants and the authority. And I think this, if this was unintentionally omitted, then to restore the language would clear that confusion up. There's also an issue with paying a stipend for additional duties, which we should not be doing if we can have them all contained in the job title, which this would do.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
The next item, which Brian alluded to, is regarding the stipend. Historically, the deputy authority that was delegated to the deputy for admin carried with it a stipend that was in addition to the base pay. That stipend was as high as $3,000 back in 1983. At some point, it was reduced to $2,500. It's a budgeted stipend. It's been in there ever since I've been in the department. In discussions with the personnel officer, Trish Neninger, she and Brian have some concerns regarding stipends generally. So, as part of the filling of the position, I worked with Trish to modify the title slightly to allow the title to carry that deputy designation. And what I'd like to do is take that stipend that used to be paid as a separate line item, and melt that into the base salary. So this would essentially correct the concern, or address the concerns of both Trish and Brian regarding the legality of stipends, and just clear that up at the same time.
Motion. Supervisor Dickinson, do a second. Supervisor Van Slo. Any other discussion? Go ahead.
What do you mean by that inflection?
I was just noticing you were there on the end of the row and you were actually raising your hand.
Yeah, I have my token of visibility on.
Okay, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The next item is a request to attend a meeting. This is for a County Highway Superintendent's Association business meeting, and there's also some PDH sessions related to this. There is no cost to the convention. It's covered by my association, but I will need a single night's lodging. The event is down in Ithaca, so it's a little bit of a travel.
Okay. Supervisor Ron from Johnsburg. Supervisor Dickinson, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, the next item under pending items, we're still pending that receipt of the New York State DEC grant for the household hazardous waste collection days. We've been in frequent contact with the main administrator for the program out of DEC in the Albany office. They're telling us now they don't expect to have authorization to commit funds until July. The good news is we should be able to amend our application with the actual hard costs. They are telling us that the money will be there. It is budgeted into this fiscal year for the state, and we are early on the list of counties that will be seeking reimbursement for those collection days. So I'm just keeping you apprised, and certainly what I'll do as soon as I get the grant documents, we'll proceed quickly to get those executed through the board. Along those same lines, as far as information, we did conduct our first of the 2 household hazardous waste days. Went very smoothly. We had about 144, 145 vehicles come through in the Warrensburg location. They collected 27 55-gallon drums worth of fluids. They also took a 5-gallon pail that they didn't transfer into drums. We had 11 big cardboard cubic boxes that were taken of other solids, and so our first portion of the bill came in a little over $9,000 for what was collected in Warrensburg. So we're in good shape as far as our budget as we stand right now. So overall, it was a very smooth event. The contractor did a good job. The public seemed very happy. We did have about 35 or 40 vehicles come in unregistered, and we simply had them pulled to the side. It took them some extra time to fill out the registration form on site, and then we cycled them right into the line again. But again, I can't emphasize enough, that pre-registration really meant we didn't have any long lines. The longest line I saw all day was 4 or 5 vehicles, and it was really quite efficient. The vehicles would pull forward next to where the contractor was. They didn't even have to get out of the vehicle, they'd pop their trunk, and the workers from the contractor came over, removed the materials, and literally in 30 seconds, they were on their way. So it went very well, and we're looking forward to another event at Queensbury on June 18th. We are getting some assistance from the town of Queensbury highway superintendent. He said he would be on site for that as well, and so we're looking forward to another good event there. The last couple of items I have for information are just some of our construction photos. First photos I'll send around are some of our paving on Murray Road out in Stony Creek. Paving season is off to a good start, and we'll be busy all season. The other two photos I want to send around are a couple photos of the Market Street Bridge construction. Right now it's exclusively county forces doing work on the bridge. Our bridge crew that we stand up each summer is doing the work, and they're getting ready. They've poured a beam seat on one side, they're getting ready to jump to the other side to finalize the reinforcing steel and to pour the other side. We will have some contractor support coming in to do some gunite treatments on some of the thinner patches on the existing abutments, and we expect the remainder of the bridge materials to be there and ready to go, so we can set the superstructure. And on the attachments portion, or just the normal reports, you will see a little bit of an increase in overtime, for April compared to prior Aprils, and I'm attributing that mostly to the early start of the construction season. These overtime numbers include overtime that we spend on construction projects that are charged back to our construction projects, and we did get an early start with the mild weather. That's all I have for EPW.
Okay, is there anything further from the committee?
Move we adjourn.
Motion, do we have a second? Supervisor Wood, all in favor?